Hey YouTube, Alan back with another Master System Monday, and this week we're taking a look at My Hero. My Hero was the first game that I got that actually came on both card as well as cartridge. Now I actually had a Master System 2 back in the day, so I never even knew the Sega cards existed. I didn't see them in the stores until much later on, when it was the retro stores. So it was actually a bit of a surprise to me. And I kind of, when I got into collecting properly, I wanted to make sure I kind of picked one up to try it out. And this was the one I picked. Now, My Hero itself, very basic game. I've actually turned the music down because the game and the music, to me, they're synonymous. They really kind of capture that. Just it loops, it gets stuck in your head. It's not great, kind of irritating, and yet compelling at the same stage. You just go left and right. Kicking and punching people in a kind of kung fu style way, but probably not as well, created as kung fu. A little bit of platforming, but predominantly just flying kick everyone. So yeah, the game is no mean, no classic, but at the same stage, given that it's a relatively cheap one to pick up, I always say to people, yeah, give it a shot. You never know, you might like it. Anyway, onto release itself. As you say, I've got both versions in my collection here. Now, obviously, we have the standard Sega cartridge. Nothing too unusual. Of course, these games were originally released on the Sega card, and that's because they were relatively small games. And these cards are tiny. They're very much like cue cards, that type of thing. And even then, like they're tiny, but most of this is actually plastic. The actual card is only this small bit down here, so it just shows you how small they could be. You can barely just about see the chip right in the center there. That's the chip, but they could only be 32K in size. That was the kind of drawback of the card format, and it meant that eventually when they cut the card out of Mass System, they re-released pretty much everything in a standard cartridge. It just fundamentally cartridges, the ROM space was getting cheaper and cheaper. Now, one of the more interesting design decisions that Sega made was when they did the card release, they actually just used they literally had a hand holding the card as the box art. I mean, look, I'm reproducing the box. Ta-da! I mean, eventually you did get the full release where you have the standard Master System artwork, and they say it follows that kind of early, design of clip art. Basically, it has an aesthetic. To be fair, I do prefer the later artwork, but there is something funny about the punch, just punching a guy in the face. That's just a funny box art to me. So what do we have at the back? There we go. A bunch of CD punks tried to steal your girl. Battle knife throwers, ferocious bulldogs, flying bottles, even the gang leader, Mohican. Hopelessly overwhelming. Take heart, you have incredible kung fu skills, but the punks have your girl. Do they indeed? You can actually see one of the funny things is when you defeat an enemy, they go flying off the screen. So in this screenshot here, you can see he's just after kicking enemies and they're going. It is quite comical, actually. Another nice little touch is actually you see a man is kicked a knife. In some cases, they throw bottles and stuff, and you can actually punch them back at them. So not a bad little game, really. I think it has a worse reputation than it merits. The manuals are the same as far as I know. I have both. For I think it's just literally it's the exact same. I'm just curious now. I'm going to flick through it to see does it actually mention in the back that it's. Yeah, because it even like the back of Sega manuals have the same warning regardless if it's card or cartridge. They handle them the exact same way. So come to think of it, I must have read that in say my other manuals and seen the card, but never really picked up on it. So there we go. It's a pretty simple game, and I suppose it suits it to have a pretty simple video. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll be back again next Monday with another Master System. Yeah, well, something from the collection.